Hi, everyone. I want to all our viewers from all around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to the 17th virtual webinar hosted by the American Sri Lankan Photographic Arts Society, Los Angeles, California, USA, ASPS, member of Photographic Society of America, PSA, and the International Federation of Photography of Art in France, FIAP. The objective of this series is to showcase the beauty of our planet's fauna and flora and promote environmental conversation in the context of nature photography and tourism, with a special focus on Sri Lanka's natural habitat. I'm your host, Medini Ratnayaka. We are streaming live from Los Angeles, California, USA. This year marks the 51st anniversary of the birth of the environmental movement in 1970, which was initiated by Senator Gaylord Nelson, as you just witnessed in the video. It gave voice to an emerging public consciousness about the state of our planet. Our planet is an amazing place, but it needs our help to thrive. That is why EarthDay engages more than 1 billion people every year. Over the decades, it has brought hundreds of millions of people into the environmental movement, creating opportunities for civic engagement in 193 countries. It has become a significant stepping stone along the pathway of engagement around protecting the planet from pollution and deforestation and the like. Today's webinar is designed to commemorate the EarthDay 2021 by supporting the worldwide efforts to conserve and revitalize the environment of the blue planet that is our home. We are delighted that this webinar has been incorporated into the day-long virtual celebrations streaming around the world conducted by the EarthDay organization, featuring Pope Francis, President Joe Biden, and several musical legends. These webinars are also intended to offer a platform to discuss ways of maintaining a more balanced relationship with ecosystems and the tools that can help us to reach this objective, so that future generations can continue to enjoy and benefit from them sustainably and responsibly. If we are to succeed, we must obviously listen to the representatives of the next generation. We have brought together 10 ambassadors of the next generation who will link hands from around the world during this webinar and voice their concerns and ideas to preserve a pristine environment for the future. We have joining us today, Temi Pereira, Dilana Wickramasinghe from USA, Farah Shami, Nihara Dumbukola from UK, Mihiri Kanasis, Akash Pereira from Canada, Akira Alagiawana, Kalendra Rangwala, Teruni Abesinghe, and Alosha Samararachi from Sri Lanka. We have the last speaker for today's presentations, and last but not least, I have a very special speaker from Sri Lanka. She is the youngest speaker of the panel today. Alosha Samararachi from Sri Lanka is going to talk about oceans and marine life. She is a 9-year-old marine biologist and is in grade 5 at Hillwood College, Kandy, Sri Lanka. Alosha is a member of the Young Marine Biologist UK. She is also an ambassador, Marine Conservation Network, Santa Barbara, United States, and a Global Youth Shark Ambassador, El Porto Shark, Manhattan Beach in Los Angeles. So Alosha, welcome to the panel, and we are waiting to hear your presentation today. So take it away.
Hi, I'm Alosha. Today I'm going to talk about oceans and marine life, and I'm going to talk a bit about rainforests too. So we are on the verge of the sixth mass extinction caused by climate change. Climate change is due to greenhouse gas emissions and many other different reasons. But we have a solution that is right in front of our eyes. There is a machine that sucks carbon dioxide right out of the air and converts it into the air we breathe. That machine is trees. Trees are the most important thing we need to stop climate change. It is the key for the lock. So there are two main rainforests in my country, the Sinharaja rainforest and the Knuckles rainforest. Both and many other different types of rainforests like the Amazon contain a high amount of biodiversity and are shrinking with it. So people cut down trees every day, every hour, and every minute. So this loses a large amount of oxygen we breathe, a main food supply, and the habitat for a variety of species. So if people keep cutting down trees, all that would be left is a barren wasteland full of nothing but ash and stone. We would have to suffer with no food, no water, no shelter or shade. Mother Nature would punish us for all our misdeeds by sending many natural disasters like the drought. Save not only for us, but for our future. Save the rainforest. Save the trees. Now I'm going to talk about the mystery of the ocean. So what is the ocean? The ocean is the largest body of water on the planet, covering 97% of the Earth's surface. And it contains the highest amount of biodiversity than any habitat on the planet. So the ocean looks like a blue wasteland from above. But when you dive deep, you see the true wonders of it. So this is where the ocean zones come in. So there are three main ocean zones: the sunlight zone, twilight zone, and the midnight zone. You could take the abyssal plains and the trenches too. So let's start with the sunlight zone. The sunlight zone has a very high amount of sunlight, which allows plants to grow. From tiny phytoplankton to giant tail forest and mangroves. So there is plants like seagrass, algae, phytoplankton, giant kelp, seaweed, and many other different plants growing in this zone. So phytoplankton are microscopic plants that provides us with 50% of the oxygen we breathe. So over here, you could find the most amazing thing in the ocean, coral reef. Coral reefs. Coral may look like a bunch of old rocks, but are actually animals called polyps. So the reef is made out of the skeleton of these animals that are made out of calcium carbonate, which forms into different structures and then grows on another polyp and making a big reef. It takes over 100 years to make one single reef. So it contains half the biodiversity of the ocean. So you can find animals like sea turtles, dugongs, echinoderms, crustaceans, marine mammals, and manta rays, and many other different animals. And you can find sharks. Sharks are not the murderous man-killers in myths. Sharks are actually peaceful and gentle creatures. So how do they find their food? I'm telling this because I'm a lot of interest in sharks. Well, by using electroreception. So it has organs in its nose called ampullae of Lorenzini, which can detect low electrical impulses from fish miles away. So you've known the hammerhead, that weird shark with a hammer-like head. So why does it have that hammer-like head? Well, to make way for ampullae of Lorenzini. So that's how it could find low electrical impulses from flounders and and stingrays under the sand. So let's dive in to the twilight zone. The twilight zone has a less amount of sunlight and doesn't allow much plants to grow. So this is the place where the giant kelp anchors itself, with not roots, but root-like structures. Animals, there are shark species like great whites. And now let's dive into the deep. The midnight zone. The midnight zone doesn't have even a bit of light except for the light created by animals, bioluminescence or GFP, which was first discovered in a jellyfish called Aquaria victoria. GFP is blue light absorbed and then transferred into green light and many different other colors. So you could find bioluminescence in animals like dragonfish, anglerfish, flashlight fish, hatchet fish, siphonophores, and jellyfish. Now, so anglerfish don't make their own light, but it stores bioluminescent bacteria and its growth on its head, and then lures in small fish that think that it's gonna have a yummy meal. But then the anglerfish gets an even better meal. So, but the fish have a defense mechanism. When it feels threatened or attacked by a predator, it releases a glue-like mucus that confuses the predator, and then it scares it off, and then it swims away. So you could find a different bizarre thing here. Deep sea coral reefs. Deep sea coral reefs are really rare and are mostly found in Arctic seas. So you could find animals like sea sponges, echinoderms like brills, basket stars, and sea urchins. And you could find rare species of sharks like goblin sharks, frilled sharks, six-gill sharks, seven-gill sharks, blunt-nosed sharks, and Greenland sharks, which live in the Arctic. So this is the place where the interesting battle of the sperm whale and giant squid begin. Now, how does the sperm whale go into that pressure and seize? Well, it doesn't have any problem with that. Well, the sperm whale slows its heart rate while it's diving, making a good advantage. So, and there's an oily-like substance in its head called spermaceti. So that's how the sperm whale got its name. When the sperm whale is on the surface, the spermaceti is like an oil. And then when it goes to the bottom, the spermaceti turns into solid rock. So how does it see down here? So eyes are no use here. So it has a different mechanism. Echolocation. Echolocation is the same thing that bats use to find insects. So when the sound waves bounce onto a squid, and then it bounces back onto the whale's lower jaw that travels to its ears and then to its brain, signaling it that it must attack before the squid gets away. Now, let's dive into the abyssal plains. So in the abyssal plains, you can find many bizarre structures like hydrothermal vents or black smokers, mud volcanoes, brine pools and brine rivers, and lakes of sulfur acid. So it's a completely different ecosystem here. So you've heard of photosynthesis, right? Photosynthesis, energy created by light. But there's a different thing here. Chemosynthesis. Chemosynthesis is energy created by chemical reaction and heat. So a bacteria called cyanobacteria or chemosynthetic bacteria absorb this heat and chemicals, which produces sugar or energy. So many animals eat the cyanobacteria, like yeti crabs, iron-footed snails, and blind shrimp. And many animals form a symbiotic relationship with the bacteria. So giant tube worms and giant earworms store the bacteria inside their body, which provides the bacteria a safe shelter, and the bacteria provides a food. So you could find bioluminescent animals like jellyfish here. Jellyfish and siphonophores, iron-footed snails, yeti crabs, blind shrimp, clams, mussels, shellfish, and many other animals. So let's dive into the trenches. The trenches can get a lot tight, and it is called pressure. So a human skull would be crushed in 5 minutes. So you can't find much animals here, but you could find sea cucumbers, giant isopods, jellyfish, and you could find a different thing floating elegantly along the seafloor, plastic bags. In 2018, scientists have discovered that crustaceans in the Mariana Trench have consumed plastic. So it's really hard to believe that a big and beautiful ocean can be harmed. Well, it can. By ocean pollution. So there are many ways of ocean pollution. Dumping, sewage, oil spills, maritime transportation, plastic pollution, and overfishing. So let's start with plastic pollution. So we use plastic in everyday lives. And then after we use the plastic, we burn, we dump it to be recycled, but it doesn't be recycled. It goes straight into the ocean. And this harms the ecosystem a lot. And animals like sea turtles and seabirds mistake plastic for food. So let's take a sea turtle. So a sea turtle can identify a shopping bag as a delicious jellyfish and then swallows it whole. And let's take a pelican. When the pelican is flying high above the ocean and then it spots a giant patch of plastic and then dives headfirst and scoops up a whole mouthful of plastic and then swallows it whole like the sea turtle. And so how does the plastic gather in giant patches? Well, it gathers in giant patches from plastic gyres. So the gyres bring the plastic to an exact spot in the West Pacific Ocean, which is the largest plastic patch in the world and is becoming larger every day. So the plastic gyres or ocean currents bring the plastic from all over the world to that exact spot. So now, if farmers use too much fertilizer, all that fertilizer would be washed away in the rains and go through drains and rivers straight to the ocean, which attracts algal blooms or red tides. So you've may heard or seen red tides. Well, it's the thing that destroys everything in its path, leaving nothing. So how does this affect the ocean? Well, instead of releasing oxygen, it absorbs all the oxygen and then releases carbon dioxide. And then this leaves a dedicated zone called the dead zone. So the dead zone it doesn't have much fish. When you dive deeper, all you can find is plastic at the bottom. So now maritime transportation. So how does this affect? Well, many animals like whales use sonar to communicate, and submarine sonar jams all that communications and harms tissues and cells in the process. Now overfishing. So what is actually overfishing? Overfishing is the unwanted amount of fish being caught in fishing nets by fishermen. So these animals like sea turtles and echinoderms, crustaceans, but crustaceans are actually wanted, and marine mammals like whales and sharks, all are pushed back into the ocean off the boat as bycatch. So the top predators of the ocean are being affected. Sharks. As I told you before, they are not the murderous man-killers, and they are actually peaceful creatures. So how do they become affected? Well, they become affected by cutting off their fins. So the hammerhead sharks are hardly protected, while least concerned species are very strictly protected. So after the fisherman cut the fins right out of the shark, it throws the shark back into the ocean, and the shark does not survive in the process. So how can the shark live without fins for stabilization? So how do we protect the ocean and stop plastic pollution? Because plastic is the most common element found in the oceans today. By 3 simple steps: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So you can do a very small thing to help a very big ecosystem, like Meatless Mondays. So you can use a reusable cotton bag and a reusable bottle that would last you a lifetime. So we can give advice to people, family, friends, and members. So if grown-ups don't take any action, we can. Children have all the power we can to save the world. We can change the world. We can make a difference. So I'm Alosha from Sri Lanka. Thank you from people around the world.
Thank you so much, Alosha. Thank you so much for that great presentation. I learned a lot about ocean and marine life, and especially about sharks today. So we hope to see you sometime in California, maybe in near future, when you work as a youth ambassador with these different organizations in California. So that concludes our panel discussion today on Voices of Young to Save the Planet. It was a wonderful time together with these activists, the young speakers from 4 countries in the world. So I am very, very happy that you guys collaborated in this panel forum discussing very important topics today. I want to thank all the participants: Penny Pereira, Dilana Wickramasinghe from USA, Farah Shamim, Nihara Dumbukkala from UK, Mihili Kamis, Akash Pereira from Canada, and Akira Alagiawanna, Khalendra Ranwala, Perunia Besinghe, and Alosha Samarachi from Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for your participation in this panel, and we wish you all the very best with your future endeavors. And also for our audience, thank you very much for joining from all corners of the world. And also, I want to let you know that on